Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Dirty Dozen Conference. So many of you wonder who I am. I am the real Dr. Phil, a.k.a. Pastor Phil, a.k.a. the leader, founder, director of Set Free Worldwide Ministries. And this Dirty Dozen Conference is the 12 most interesting people I've met in my 72 plus years. I mean, the 12 most interesting. Sorry you didn't make it on the list. Some of you have been hitting me up and emailing me and texting me saying, when do I get to be on? Okay, maybe if I do another conference, you might be on that list, but don't hate on the ones I chose because God's the one that helped me choose the 12. Each and every one of them, they're not done with their life. They're just beginning. They're growing in the Lord. They're doing things. They're making a mark on this world. They're world shakers. They're world changers. So first off today, my dear friend, Richie Fieldy, my brother, welcome, welcome. I'm introducing my friend over here, if you would, please.
Charlie Grooms.
Let me introduce to you. Katana, if you would, please. Yes. So I'd like to introduce my friend, if you would. Take a few minutes and tell us about yourself. And I have my special guest with me,
Fausto Castellanos.
One of my wonderful sons. Jill, honored to have you here, man. Hey, would you introduce yourself, please?
MJ Aguilar.
My friend, Quickie John Juarez. Quickie, good to have you, brother.
Good to be here, my brother.
My friend, I call him Dr. Richie.
Hey, brother, thank you for having me. Man. I really appreciate it.
So I want to introduce you to my friend Sunday. Sunday, welcome. Introduce yourself if you would, Migs.
My name is Migs Whiskey. I'm a singer-songwriter from Southern California.
How are you feeling about this COVID-19 and these pandemic times where people are nervous, they hear this in the news, people are scared, people living in fear? How's it affected your life?
I mean, it's been interesting going to stores and everything and seeing people afraid. And I mean, it's created really good icebreaker conversations to have a real life conversation with people.
Oh, yes.
Because your problems don't define you, they really just reveal you. And so if I see somebody wearing a face mask in their car, I'm like, that's a great indicator of how susceptible they are to like fake news or fear or something amplified where like thinking logically, everyone has the opportunity to think as an individual right now, but seeing what they choose, it just creates fun questions for me. But also, it's been really sad watching some people. I've watched some really successful friends go bankrupt and lose everything.
That's right, huh?
But I've also seen other people kind of get woke through this. You know, this has kind of like broken all the idols, and not all of them. There's still social media. There's still a lot of different things, but for the most part, it's been really humbling. I've seen it bring people back to their family and back to what matters the most in life. In the good ways, but on the negative side, there's a whole lot. I mean, this is a very like spiritually heightened time to live.
We're always doing projects and moving on and not having that idle time. But and the other thing that's been great about it is because there's so much downtime, it's given me a lot more time to have a deeper relationship with God.
Oh,
and it's been really great. In the beginning, and it's been over the last, I'd say 3 years, but I've even got some of my friends into it where I started out, where I would start out with, okay, reading the Word of God every day is, I feel if I don't do that, then I'm going to die because I'm not going to learn anything. I'm just going to go, I'm going to read this and go, well, I'm going to fail that today, but at least I have a reminder every day.
Right.
A constant reminder of just going, oh, I need to work on it, and a work in progress, and you keep going and trying and going and trying. So at least I have a guideline, but if I stop reading, I'll forget it. I've read many books, probably 500 books, Christian books that I was into. I forgot them all because I haven't read them. I read them once, and I don't remember anything. You remember that book?
Yeah.
No, I don't, because I haven't read it. So if I stop reading the Word, I'm going to forget.
It was shocking. I mean, when we heard, it was definitely shocking. And just to listen to, you know, everybody around us and the news and the media and, you know, I don't know, I've always chosen to live. I'm one of those people that's like, if everybody's going a certain direction, I'll be that one to go, wait a second, maybe it's a different road. Like, you know, they say the wide road and then there's the narrow road. Like, I tend to be, if everybody's on something, like, wait a minute, I got to check, you know, am I on the right path? So I don't know, I just wasn't, not that I wasn't buying into it, because it's happening, and I know, like, people are suffering and people are dying, and it's tragic and it's awful what's happening. But in my, you know, because I'm very in tune with the struggles of people that are, you know, around me, and I have a lot of people that call me to help them through certain situations in life, and honestly, you know, there's so much suffering in the world. I mean, aside from what's going on with this pandemic, you know, I mean, you've got people that are suffering with drugs and addiction and, you know, losing children. I know so many people, parents who are grieving over losing their children, and it's horrible. People that are, you know, the human trafficking numbers are through the roof. I mean, the things that are going on with children, that to me that's devastating stuff.
Yeah, so there's been things going on that you've already been involved in the fight for people's lives.
Exactly. And to be honest, personally, and I know you're going to understand this, my life personally has ended many times and started again in the morning.
Whoa.
This pandemic, yeah, it's bad. But look at the numbers. The numbers say it's less than everything else. But what are they saying? Every single day, you know, put your mask on, do this, do that, do this. Ebola was here 10 years ago, and Ebola, if you get it, you're dead. No matter who, you're gonna spit blood, it's coming, I mean, it's horrible. And they didn't have the same reaction. Granted, we didn't have the pervasive nature of social media, you know, the definite bias from both sides when you get information, but it seems to me that the health aspect of the pandemic has completely been squashed by the political aspect of it. And no matter what is affected, who dies, how many people lose their jobs or their well-beings, it's all about, you have to do this because my guy says this, and if we push this point and that guy doesn't do it, then that's something we could use. I don't want to be involved in that anymore. Tell me if I can get sick. Tell me how I can get sick, how I can prevent it. And as long as it's not a detriment to others, allow me to make the decision of how I choose to live.
It hasn't affected me really. To me, I just saw it as a blessing, because what it did for me, it showed me how much faith I had. It showed me how much I detached from the world, because I didn't feel empty. If anything, I felt more love, because I'm like, whoa, God, you're helping me slow down, which has always been my motto. I need to slow down.
Right.
And it helped me see that I got people in my life today. I got a job. I got a relationship. I fixed relationships with my past. My past I have healed. I have so many people in my life where I don't feel alone. So those things really showed me how much growth I had, because when the world is busy and it's nonstop, I don't see how far I've come.
Yeah.
So this helped me see how far I've come. So when people ask me, COVID-19, what are you doing? I go, honestly, it's been the best time of my life. I've actually gained more in it than lost. And that's how I view it, in my opinion, as a blessing.
So this one, when they say you're quarantined or you can't do this, can't do it, you don't take it as losing something. You turned it around. You flipped the script on the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, external things closed, but nothing internally closed.
Ooh, yeah.
And the people that I've built over time, friendships, are internal people. So I can hit up somebody and say, hey, can I come over? Like, yeah, come over.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't affect me.
So you built in a system over here that protects you. It's your
COVID-19
safeguard.
proof. Exactly.
COVID-19. Instead of the Bible, go ye into all the world unless COVID-19 is around.
Right.
I don't read that in the good book.
I haven't seen it.
I know my worth and I know who God made me. So it doesn't matter what you look on the outside, it's about what's going on the inside. And that's one thing that the spirit of God in my life has overpowered any negativity or any corona or any fear they put on TV. They just want to put us in fear, I believe. And they want to make us be scared in our houses, take our freedom away, take away our guns, I believe all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My opinion, and it can offend people in LA where I'm at. It's very hipster, very like they film you if you don't have a mask on. So, I've had to learn the hard way, and I don't want to argue with people. So, but yeah, the corona I told people for a second, it had me, a little thrown off. But I've learned to make a plan where every door where there's a lock, I can find a key or something to open that bad baby, or jimmy it, or find some screwdriver to break in. For every door, it can be turned, the lock can be opened. You just got to work at it, and that's the same with the corona. That I found a way to still have church and help people. I found a way, and for me, we just been on the streets. I didn't need Trump to tell me it was okay to go back to church, or hey, everybody, it's okay now. I said we just were acting scared for the last, 4 or 5 months, hiding, and we waited for somebody to tell us we can go back to have church. We should have been having church the whole time.
There you go.
My work life didn't change, which is a big part of my life. I mean, honestly, I'm sure most can relate to that. That didn't. If anything, it might have got a little busier, crazier. Didn't change a whole lot. But the home life was tough because kids are out of school one day to the next. That's it. Everyone's homeschooled, and then you got to figure out what that looks like for those parents that work or those caretakers out there that got other things to do. I don't know how else to say it, but besides take care of your kids, there's some other things there that need to happen in life. Maybe even just take care of ourselves. And for some people, having that teacher or that time allows them to just be a man or be a woman or be a human, to prepare themselves to be the mother and fathers and caretakers that they need to be when, the school's out. And so that was a big one to figure out, the pandemic. I did my first puzzle ever with my family during the pandemic.
Okay.
So that just shows you how real it was in my house, the first and I think last. But, it's one of those things we had to get real creative. Again, it brought out a lot of creativity in the family of what we're going to do. I wasn't going to let me, as their leader, as a husband and a father, let us just go down with the panic of the pandemic.
Right.
Listen, be careful, be wise, be thoughtful, all of that. But I'm not going to go down with,
So you made some lemonade out of the lemons.
Did our best to do that. So schooling was big. Sports in my house is big. My kids love sports. I love supporting them. Those that play sports and do different activities, and those were gone too. So you really find out what your house is made of. Like, again, I don't know. It's just, you find out what your house is made of. Your marriage is made of. When kids are home all the time.
Wow.
When you're around, you and your wife are having conversations that you've never had in your years of relationship or marriage like we have, and you're just like, is this kind of really happening?
So, I live my life like that now. And when I got out, I was going to do all these things. I wanted to go to, I haven't seen a movie, and I can't imagine guys that have been forever, but I hadn't seen a movie in 3 years. I like going to the movies, There's no theaters for me. I can't go out to eat. I love to go out to eat.
When you're locked up, you can't wait to be able to have
That's right.
a meal at some fine restaurant.
I was looking at an Impossible Burger, okay? I so much wanted to try one of those. I finally did, and it wasn't no big deal. But, but all those commercials on TV that we'd watch, you want to go out and do a lot of things. You want to go out and ride your bike. You want to do out, and guess what? Nope. Can't do that stuff, so you adjust.
Like I said, and I tried to numb the pain, and eventually I got sick and tired of numbing the pain, and I had to take some accountability. I had to really start looking for something else, and I decided to go into the AA way, and they started talking about this disease called alcoholism, and alcohol and drugs are a part of my story, and that's a solution. It actually wasn't a problem. Like, I felt it was a solution to numb my stuff, and there was a lot of stuff that was a solution to numb the stuff. Women, money. You're always looking outside and you're not going in. Like I said, like I'm a spirit having a physical experience. I was so focused on the physical, and then the spirit was never getting fed. Not only from bread alone will the man live, but from the word of God. And I wasn't getting no word of God anymore. But I had a little seed in there that was there. So when they talked about this higher power, I had a higher power. It was God through the teachings of Jesus Christ. And with time, I kept on going to the meetings and getting closer and building this relationship with God. Since 2017, I've been reading my Bible on a daily basis.
Wow.
That
So
is
it's a
not,
habit now.
yeah, and that's not to brag. That's just my standard. And if you feel like that makes you feel some type of way, pick up a Bible. And I like that you talked about that like people mess up on a daily. Like I see this entitlement in Christianity, where you see the pastor come up and he says, give your life to Jesus today. And only the newcomers walk up and give their life to Jesus. When I feel all of us should walk up and give our lives every day, pick up our cross every day. So that's the standard I believe. So whenever they say that, I get up and I tell God, forgive me for I have sinned. And it's on a daily basis. It's sometimes it isn't, I did it physically, but I thought about it and that was enough. If that thought's in there, I have to watch out. My conviction goes deep.
You're getting personal now.
Yeah, my conviction goes deep, and that's my walk. That's my walk. But I say, give your life to Christ on a daily basis, and don't think that all of a sudden, just because it was one moment, it's done. You have to pick it up on a daily basis. And this world is constantly psychological, spiritual warfare. Your mind is drifting, your spirit's not getting fed.
After the automatic initial thought and feeling of I don't want to deal with the world, I say, God, thank you for this day. This is the day you have made. I will be glad. I will rejoice in it. And it's not like a lightning bolt of joy hits me, but it allows me to start the ball rolling the other way. I start going through a gratitude list of, once again, I'm not in jail. I'm not in prison. My kids are okay. I've got my eyesight. It's not World War III. I'm in a wonderful relationship. I've got a great career. Like, I really am blessed. I've got so many people that love me and support me. I don't have really enemies and stuff like that on a personal level. And so I'm just blessed, man. I'm just blessed. And I just want to, carry positivity. I don't want to be the judging people and talking bad about people, because it's like, for what? The first thing a fool does is seek to reform others. And the first thing a wise man does is seek to reform self. I've got a lot of work to do on self before I'm in a position to start pointing fingers, but I'm in a profession where I'm there to help. And I've been in school for 30 years, and have been in the field 30 years. And so the thing is, I learned a lot. Now, one of the initial populations that I work with were men who got busted for domestic violence. And that was a blessing, because prior to that, I was working with victims of violent crime, and I really felt compassion for these women. But then they're like, hey, I had long blonde hair. I was like a surfer stoner. I was like 21 going to SC and then go to Cal State LA. And then they're like, hey, you're a good guy. Why don't we have you working with these dudes who get busted for domestic violence? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a good guy. And then so I start doing this work, and within like 3 weeks, I get depressed and I want to abandon this line of work, because I'm noting the commonalities. Yeah, I wasn't a hardcore batterer. I was not a control freak. I was never wanting to be violent or hurtful to a woman. But in looking at 10 different tactics of power and control or abusive behavior, I was able to recognize I've done a lot of effed up stuff. And so that was a saving grace in a lot of ways. Now, even though for years I knew that information and I was an anti-violence educator as it pertains to intimate relationships with men, and that was a lifesaver, but I still was not perfect along the way. And all the mistakes I've made, which have been plenty, have led me to this point. And I still make mistakes, and I've still made mistakes in the 2 years we've been together, but it's helped me to be able to not damage this relationship irreparably as I did in the past. Right. And so I'm grateful for those past transgressions and lessons learned, because when you make a mistake and it hits you hard and that pride goes and that you get humbled, it sticks with you. And so it's been a blessing in that way.
Again, more information. The more information, the more knowledge, the more wisdom, the more growth, the larger the expansion gets, right? And when I get to step out. So Neil deGrasse Tyson wrote this book called The Cosmic Perspective. And it's standing all the way out in the cosmos and looking at the world and the way that things are. And my favorite quote from him is, if we could all stand back in a cosmic perspective, then we would celebrate each other for our differences rather than fight each other because of them. Because in the ultimate, when we step back, we're all in this same space. We're all here together, and we're all here together by divine appointment. It's not an accident that we're here right now. It's not an accident that everyone is doing the things that they're doing. Sometimes we get distracted from our path, but we don't need he doesn't need our permission, you know? And so I grew up as a Kanaka Maoli woman, right? Born and raised in Hilo, Hawaii. And we celebrate our different, I wouldn't call, I guess in Greek, they would call them demigods. Right. At home, we would call like Kamapua'a or Tutupele. We call them ancestors. Right. And whether they're human or not, some take animal form, some take lava form, you know? And so growing up as a girl in Hawaii, I understood that each of these things had their purpose, right? But I never understood why they were all so separate. It wasn't until I got to know God and Jesus and read my Bible getting to California that I even got to see where that fits in. Because again, raised as a Kanaka Maoli, like, what does that mean for me? Is that beware of idolatry? Like, where does that fit in? Is this okay that I still honor Tutupele before I eat my meals, and I still thank Kamapua'a before I do certain things? Is that okay? Wow. And so again, baby Christians drink the milk and we hear it from others. But as I start to grow, I had to eat on my own. And so in dissecting my Bible and in looking into these things myself, it even says that when he sent a third of his angels down, what happens is they started to mate with the humans, and then we got giants and we got all of these other things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's my epiphany. That's where it came from. So there's nothing wrong with what I was raised with. It's just a smaller view. And now I'm starting to grow and I get this expanded view and I get to know that he's the one true God.
What I love about what I get to do is I get to filter through hundreds of people and test the same concepts with all those different people, and to gather kind of my own data and like my own social study of what I really believe is a everyone thing and a some people thing. And that's just you thing. And that's your story. And if you didn't go through that, you wouldn't have, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
So Jew, Gentile, whatever you want to say it is, what I've found is everyone needs love. And if God is love, then every bit of experience we've ever had with love is a measurement of God that can be completed if we get curious and hungry enough to find out.
There you go.
And so I believe that, you know, just like Jesus spoke in parables, he always hides things for the hungry. He never just makes it so obvious. As much as our generation breathes that way and thinks that way, it's like, well, you should have, otherwise, you know, you're lost, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or everybody should make everything so obvious for us. But I think that's where the beautiful part of seeking the kingdom is it becomes special and it becomes unique. And I think that's where this topic of love makes spirituality so real. And you get into recovery and people come to the end of themselves, and then, you know, we really talk about this conversation called addiction versus connection, right?
Right.
And so the opposite of addiction, with the way the philosophy goes, is the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, but it's connection. And so when there is disconnection is when we have a draw to addiction. And where connection becomes spiritual is because there is a spiritual narrative that's at play that makes disconnection impossible forever. And the concept of it is forgiveness and mercy, and of course grace.
I've had suffering, I've known pain. There were days where I laid on my floor and I didn't know if I was going to make it. I prayed and asked God, you got to get me through this. I mean, there were times that I really didn't know, you know, if I could, and the heartbreak and the pain and the suffering. And I mean, people look at me now and, you know, I'm kind of known as the happy girl, and I'm positive and I'm smiling, and I really am that. I mean, I am a very optimistic person, but I have fought to be this person, and it hasn't come naturally for me. I've known sorrow and I've known pain. I mean, I lost my dad when I was 16 at a very crucial time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Sorry. Wow.
Thank you. You know, a crucial time in a girl's life when she's finding her identity, and relationships and all of that. And it was awful. And I was daddy's girl. I mean, he would put me up on the coffee table and put a mic in my hand and say, spin around and sing. And I was like a little Shirley Temple. He wound me up. And so to lose that person that had
wow,
you.
as
and
a teenage girl like that,
it
when
was
you think
awful.
about giving you away in marriage and all these things. Oh, yes.
And never got to meet, his grandchildren or any of that. And it was very difficult for me. And, from there, I think it just led into, I always had this hole in my heart that I was trying to fill because I lost that person. And so I tried to fill it in all the wrong places.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
That was definitely my story. And my, crutch was relationships and men. And I turned to that for comfort and a person to fill that void in me that was really the loss of my dad. And I think though that through that, so I've known pain, I've known suffering, but in that dark hour, my darkest hour, is where God came to me and became a father to me that honestly, I thought my dad was great, but he was nothing in comparison to the love that I have found, the peace that I get, the joy that I have leaning on God.
If you're lucky enough to really experience that and say, hey, that is God, not write it off to, oh, that was endorphins or that was adrenaline or that was this or that. No, that was God.
Yes.
And you use those times and you can either say to yourself, nah, I'm crazy, or you can say, hey, thank you, Jesus, and see how it goes. Because what trips me out is like, a guy, like you say, can meet a girl and he's like, man, she's cool and she's this and that, but I don't think she's really that good for me. But they'll still try it out.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to take the chance with God. And I believe it's this, and straight up, and I've told a lot of people this, and it's quite offensive, I imagine, but sometimes the truth does that,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how you say it. But I've told many a fellow, I said, you know what's right and wrong. You know God exists. You even say it, and they'll say, yeah. I say, but you don't choose to follow because you have to stop doing too many things that you think you like. And the thing is, you can still do most of the things you like, but there's a set out way to attain grace in what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a woman, have a wonderful personal life, meaning financially, sexually, a personal life with friends, but it's not going to ever work the way that it's meant to be to its full extent if there's not the divinity of Christ's word and his guidance and the Holy Spirit that's going to come into your relationship.
That's exactly it. You better believe it.
I know it because I just know it. I mean, I can't explain to you why. I can't go over 10 years of something that leads to this one little moment that shows me, man, you're so dumb. And then when I think, man, all this was wrong this whole time. And every time I fought with myself, I was fighting with God, because those things that were popping up in my head that wanted to make change and wanted to make me be better. And I felt bad for using that dude who was such a great friend. And I just knew I could get stuff out of him. So I said what I needed to say to make this brother do what I needed. Or this girl was such a great girl in her heart, but she wasn't so great looking, but I needed something. So I used it to whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There has to be a point where you start feeling these things,
Mm-hmm.
and you either give in or you decide that you want to find a way to clear your heart and your mind and your soul of all the treachery that you yourself as one individual has created.
Purpose,
right? You got to find your purpose through God. And the thing is that you can't just try it for one day, right? Okay, this is what my purpose is. No, you got to really believe. You've got to visualize that God has a purpose for you. You got to, as if it already has happened, right? You got to feel it, you got to smell it, you got to taste it. You got to create it as if it's already there, and thank God as if he already gave it to you.
A reason to get up in the morning.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it makes you get high. So I feel crazy high. You can call me crazy, psychotic, but no, it gets me on my feet in that morning.
Ooh.
And then 2 is be very wise with what you listen to,
Okay.
what you say, who you surround yourself with, what you read, and even what you eat. Because those are the things that are going to develop the way you are. So I make the decision, and I write it down. Who am I going to hang out with and why?
Why do you write it down?
Because I'll forget. There's no such thing as a mental inventory. There's too many things going through your head. You're gonna
I
forget.
got a photographic mind and
Right?
all that BS. Yeah,
Yes.
I hear you.
So when you write it down, it solidifies it in my mind, and I look at it daily to remind myself, because it's so easy to get distracted.
Oh yeah.
So I do that because we were creatures of habit. So I'm going to surround myself with the right people to develop their habits. And another thing is you've got to get honest with yourself, because we're not perfect. There's a lot of baggage with us, and you need to let go of it, forgive, accept, and make amends if you want to be connected to God. Because that's what gets in the way.
Yeah, total honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've always taught us that growing up, us as kids, that it's an inside job. Happiness starts with the inside, you know what I mean? You can have everything, have this, but most people who have everything are the most miserable people. You've always taught us, and we met them, and we've had everything and been miserable and been still, not happy. So, I think that you have to start with yourself, and you have to know your worth. If you don't know, I didn't know my worth a lot of years, so I hated life. I hated everything, didn't like anybody because I didn't know my worth. I didn't know how much God loved me. I didn't know how special I was to the kingdom. And once you know you're God's child and you're special to the kingdom, and no matter what anybody thinks about you, God's opinion outweighs man's opinion every time about what, about you. So for me, I know my worth, but a lot of people don't know their worth. And I feel for those people because I used to be that person. And that's why they suffer during these times. That's why I tell some people I know, they were locked down, doing the Corona quarantine before anybody told them they had to be locked down because of depression or pills or drama or anxiety. It's real. People I love it's rough for them to go outside, but it was rough for them to go outside before the pandemic, you know what I mean? And so I think that you can't change what's going on the outside, but we can control and can change what's going on the inside.
There it is.
And that's that when the Bible talks about I have peace that passes all understanding, people ask me all the time, why are you smiling? Why are you so happy now? It's because if you know what the Lord's done for my life, and if you knew my story, I can't help but to give God glory from where he brought me out of just a few years ago, So the reality is, once you found that joy that you lost as a child, you want to tell everybody about it. You want everybody, you know what I mean? And whether it's at Ralph's, the grocery store, I'm the pastor of Ralph's. Whether it's at my friends from the neighborhood, I'm the pastor, I'm the hood pope, they call me. So wherever I go with my music friends, I'm a music guy. I mean, become all things to all people that you might win some is what you taught me, you know what I mean? So I think it's just great training from you as, as kids, we hated hearing it, but as we're older, it saved our lives. Because my wife will ask me, why aren't you flipping out over this situation? And I says, because I have peace that I have, nobody can take.
Yeah.
And you've been reading the word for 100 years,
A long time.
and the words that were spoken right there, you probably heard 100 times or 400 times, but they open in a new way.
A new way.
It's always alive.
Exactly.
It's like, how do I know this and not hit me in a new way? It's just mind blowing that keeps me going every single day, that I don't have to read it. I get to, and I want to.
I tell you, that's it, folks. That's exactly it.
I get to, and I want to. I look forward to my coffee and reading because it's like it brightens my day. It starts my day out right, So that's where I've been into my, and then. That's just my personal in the morning thing that I do. People can do it on their phone if you want to do it, getting a little bit. However you want to do it, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to push on any of this for people, but I'm just saying, to my growth in the beginning, I was more like, I would say religious, because I'm like, you got to go to church, you got to read your Bible, you got to do this, Now I'm like, okay, how can I have the Holy Spirit grow closer to me? And I'm like, I started learning through church and through these ways of religion. It's like, well, if you put on worship music, then he manifests, because he's going, you're worshiping me. It's kind of like I heard somebody say, maybe it was even you. If somebody's talking in the corner, blah, 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 and they go, and then Pastor Phil, and you go, and it's not nothing about you, but you hear your name.
There you go.
So you say, blah, 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 Jesus. What? Somebody talking about me? So it's like you put on worship music so he can manifest. And then so I kind of go in an order. So I put on worship music, and then I pray, and then I open up the word, and then I read. Wow. Because I want him to manifest, because I want to open up even more before I read.
And there was 3 other people. There was him and 2 other people there. And one of the guys said, "Hey, man, if you're this powerful dude, get me off of here, man. Come on, let's go."
Yeah, he wanted off.
He wanted off. And the other one said, shut up, fool. We're here because of what we did.
Took full responsibility.
That's right, for his actions. And said, forgive me. And what did he say? This very day, he'll be by his side. Jesus Christ is, the first person to go to heaven was an outlaw.
Was an outlaw. He said, today you'll be with me in paradise. That's
Jesus Christ was an outlaw. People don't understand that. Come on. And so what are we afraid of? I have a t-shirt that says outlaws do recover. We do. Every one of us are an outlaw. Every one of us. You don't have to wear this funny hat or wear this organization or that organization. You are naturally born outlaw.
Let's go into some dangerous waters here.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about politics.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a guy named Joe Biden running for president. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, and he's running against the president, Donald Trump.
Yes.
What do you think about this presidency, this elections, pre-elections, voting? A young man like you, that's why I wanted the most interesting people I know, because I want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from some straight guy who lives on Wall Street, never been around the block before, never got their hands dirty.
Right.
I want to hear from people that are out there in the world right now today, dealing with people of every kind.
Yeah.
So what do you think about all that?
I think that, okay, you want to go here?
I dare you.
All right. I have had a lot of friends, am I good here? Okay. I've had a lot of friends. I've had friends that are very close to me almost fight each other over this. I mean, like a week ago, I've seen legitimately going after it. I'm breaking it up over this deep, illegitimate, non-rational hatred towards Trump. And then no reason why. No evidence, no articles, no statistics, no measurement of any sort of rational thought, just emotion.
Just the way he looks.
Judge a character.
Yes.
And that they think this thing. And then you have, this other movement that is very easy and enticing and tempting for our generation, who's the laziest, most entitled generation ever.
I like that.
Right?
Okay.
So you have also people who honestly don't really care about that much of what's going on in life. They stay more focused on what their favorite band is saying, or their influencer, or what their favorite YouTube channel star's perspective is on it.
Right.
Because they think everything's just going to go away and it's just going to blow over.
Yeah,
So it doesn't really matter anyway.
I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a Jesus citizen.
Oh, right? You mean you're seated in heavenly places?
That's right. We're all equal, man.
Oh, well, this guy's got an answer for everything. I love it.
And when it comes to politics, again, I was just too ignorant to even know what politics was my whole life because I was in my addiction. So I never paid attention. I'm not registered to vote. I haven't been into that. And then when I became aware of that stuff, like I said, I don't watch TV. So if I'm not watching TV, if I'm not doing things of this world, I have no idea what's going on. And I've noticed from being aware, when it comes to politics and people, everyone's gonna have a different opinion. There is no right answer to it, right? It's a constant argument back and forth. So I just stay out of it for one, because I don't wanna get into it and create something that's, I think, is pointless in my life. Maybe not in your life, but in my life, politics doesn't matter yet, right? Maybe it will one day. I don't know, because I don't know everything.
You're speaking to a lot of young people right now, a lot of young people who, older people, I hear them saying out loud right now, that ignorance is bliss, or he's just burying his head in the sand. He's got to figure out what's going on in the world. Because you're right, everybody's got different, varying opinion, And if you're from California or New York, it's a whole lot different than if you're from Missouri or Kansas City, it's a whole different thing. So you just haven't got into the politics thing. No. That reminds me of a guy named the Apostle Paul that says, this one thing I do, I'm determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. So you're like a real Jesus freak, aren't you?
I am.
You don't have to answer this.
I don't know. I don't go on Facebook ever and post anything about political because it just starts fights and arguments. You really can't have your own opinion because you're going to get hate. my thing, I used to like to fight, you know? So for me, it's beyond that. Like if somebody's like, he wants to go there, I say, always go talk about it out back. Forget the, you know, Facebook warrior gangster. I don't understand the keyboard stuff, right? My culture is like, you got a problem or you disagree with somebody, we go take it outside, best man wins, and you shake, and after you beat each other up, you hug, you know? But we're in a new era, right? Where everybody's a tough guy, internet gangster. So, you know, they can say what they want and get off, or they think they're smart or artsy. But all they really are is they just have a keyboard. They're a keyboard guy, you know? So I vote for Kanye West, right? I think Kanye, you know, why not give him I think this world is so jacked up already. I think that it's so wrong what's being done to our immigrants. I think all that's bad news. Whoa. I mean, there's things, I mean, you know, that I think are terrible, but they're terrible when, you know, we had Barack, right? I mean, if you want my political view, I'll say it because we're in person. I ain't gonna do it on the keyboard. I'll say it in front of somebody's face. The reality is, I don't think anything's working. I don't think Trump's done as good as this person. I think it's all been terrible for decades. I think but this is the plan. This is why. This is, like, I always laugh at Christians. They're like, oh my God, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. And the brother, this is. I go, what are you talking about? This is the end times. We're living in pre-tribulation. Like, you're shocked that the world, they're about to make a chip. You're shocked. Like, my wife says, what are we going to do? They're going to make people, you know, get a chip to get groceries. You're not going to get it. I go, oh no, I'll get some sinner friend of mine who probably is never going to come to the Lord. I'll make him get a chip, give him extra few dollars, and get the groceries for us to go to the store. I mean, you know,
gotta be creative, innovative.
I want to find a way. I mean, I'll move back to Virginia. I got friends everywhere. So for me, I just learned that you used to tell me all the time, like, people will be stressed out. Chief, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, and you say, don't call me unless the house is on fire or somebody overdose, you know, something serious. Other than that, nothing's an emergency. Don't knock on my door.
They are more recently, surprisingly. So I didn't really understand a lot of this stuff, you know what I mean? Especially getting back into school. But Fight Club came about. We got some recognition. They sent us a few places around this nation. And so I got to learn some things. In the midst of that, I got to learn that resolutions are made at a college level, right? And submitting a resolution, what that looks like, how to go to San Francisco, how to advocate, how I can even advocate even from here in Orange County, how in that, again, that multitude of counsel, there's a group of us, there's a tribe of us now.
So you all collaborate together, get wisdom from everybody, yes.
Right, or even something as simple as I believe in something, I can understand that something, so doing like you do, putting up a Facebook post about, hey, let's raise some awareness, let's put good information into the world so that people can understand, rather than just dwelling in emotion. Let's dwell in information. Yeah, let's get active about this, because again, these beautiful things are being given to us. This information is being given to us. What are we going to do about it?
I come from the outlaw background, criminal background. So even if you put laws, we break them. And that's even my leaders today have broken rules that are not right. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, you know, Zapata, a lot of great men stood for against the system. And sometimes you got to go against the system if it's going against your beliefs. And if your beliefs go against my beliefs, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to compromise. And, you know, this whole thing about churches not being open, I think, Daniel, you know, you're telling me not to pray. I'm going to pray even more. And throw me in the lion's den. The lions will not touch me. And that comes with my belief system. That comes from my standing. That comes from my Bible. So, like I said, I don't have a race, horse in the race. So I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I don't like to label. The only label that I do like to carry is child of God. And that way I don't get away from the solution. And the solution is that there is only one race, and that's the human race, and we only live under one home, and this is earth. And yes, we got to live amongst each other, but not because we live amongst each other, we got to walk together. Sadly, you know, I walk, like I said, with my brothers, and that comes back to my standard. And if what I say offends you, it does come from your belief and your standard. And you want to be more of this world, I don't. Like, so Donald Trump, he is a leader. And I do pray that he guides us in the right direction. Yeah. But Donald Trump's not my leader. He is a leader. He's not my leader. My leader is God. I wanted a perfect leader, so I chose God.
Politics? Politics, you know, there's
like my house politics?
No, the presidential politics.
I got my own politics in my house. Yeah.
The presidential politics, does that affect your household?
I'm sure it probably affects me now because I have older kids, college-age kids. Even my younger ones who go to school or private school or public school, and so they're getting flooded with different information. You have a friend who does this. Plus, they all got phones and social media. So it's not like before with like you telling me like, hey, this is what we do or don't do. Growing up, we never talked about politics in our house.
No,
I can't remember one time.
I don't remember.
You know, yeah, it wasn't one time. I mean, I didn't even know about that, you know, until we met a president, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's
I was
right.
like, cool, I'm into politics. I like Reagan, you know, I mean, but otherwise there was nothing there. And so now though, because you don't have to go out or, you know, your parents can't keep you from that because there's the, you know, internet and social media, the way it is these days, it comes to your kids, it comes to your home. And because of that, you know, Twitter life and Instagram or whatever, it's, you know, I have to be mindful and thoughtful and careful of what they're hearing and what they're receiving. And maybe I agree with it, maybe I don't. So I have to have those sit downs or, you know, kind of take them to the side, or me and the wife will just talk about like how we can kind of come at them, you know, and share with them. Maybe we just cut it off or we have a conversation because this young man, that's his mind, you know, that's our son. These are the things he hears or what he thinks or just the way he's made up and what he's hearing now from all the political stuff, you know, just trying to understand it all. And I'm trying to put myself first in their shoes as a 22-year-old. Like, what was I thinking about politics at 22? Personally, not a whole lot. You know, I was so active, so involved in different things with the community, with the neighborhoods, with my family, that it just didn't fit. And honestly, it's kind of the same thing now. I'm not saying I don't care, because I know people care and I care about what people care about. And I know for a lot of people, you bring things like that up and that's like, you're talking about my relative. You're talking about my last name. You're talking about my like bloodline because of what they're connected to or their beliefs. Respect, appreciate, but I could care less. Like, it's not for me. For me, it doesn't come close to top 10.
But then now I've come to believe that it's the illusion of choice and that it's really the same thing. It's the same machine. Now, in terms of me being a mental health professional, it's about conduct. So I don't know how they vote. I don't know what they're really doing, so I can't speak to that. But if we were to look at Barack Obama, for example, versus Donald Trump, Barack Obama was an eloquent speaker. I love how he carried himself. I love how he represented the United States of America, and just like he was open about
Classy,
using drugs, knew how to act, good looking dude, you know. And then with Trump, I don't know him, so I don't like to really put people down, but just talking shit about people a lot and kind of cantankerous. And, you know, he'll go to other countries and refuse to shake the hand of another diplomat there. And like, he's representing all of America. So I wish he would represent it in more of a way that's coming from a loving perspective, because I'm about cooperation, not competition. I'm about love, not war. Now I realize sometimes you gotta go to war, you know, but I'm gonna always come in a diplomatic, positive way at first, you know, and then a last resort is war. A last resort is violence. Unless there's a real threat to me and or my family or loved ones, there's no need. And it rarely comes to me. So I just love life. I love people, and I'm not tripping.
You still get to be you. I'm still rough around the edges. You know, I still got a lot of work. I'm a big work in progress, man. I'm a one of the dirty dozen, I'll tell you right now.
I love that.
That's why I'm sitting here right now, man. I got a long way to go, but I know, like you said, and I was just talking to my son this morning, 13 years old, and I'm all, listen, and we were talking this morning, I said, you got to be quick to forgive. Just forgive. Let it go. He'll take care of it. He's a just God. He will take care of it. It's not your job. Just forgive him. Don't worry about it, you know? Like, everyone's going to burn you. Everyone's going to everyone's going to rip you off. Everyone's going to do you wrong. They're going to say the wrong thing to you. We all do. You're going to get in an argument with one of your best friends. We've gotten arguments.
Yep.
It's going to happen. And as the more you get into it, your argument you end, then you just go, you flip a coin like the Bible says, and heads or tails, heads. You win. I was wrong and you're right. And you just drop it. Just squash it, you know? And if you're quick to forgive, you're free. You're free. You've always said, Why are you giving somebody free rent and they're mine?
Yeah, that's right.
Just forgive them and let God deal with them and pray for them to have a change of heart. So it's like, it's the ones, because if you don't, you're going to find out that most people are just out for wrong intentions.
I, had a big change. I quit watching pornography. I quit hooking up with girls. I quit like violating my innocence in that way for like 7 years till I got married to my wife. And before my wife, I was in ministry school and I got engaged when I got out of ministry school. Because
So you were in ministry school for how long?
I was there for 4 years.
Okay, 4 years, did ministry school, and so you were just kind of look at girls, but you weren't really involved?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I drew like a boundary where I like made a vow to singleness because I knew how immature I was with girls, that I knew I needed to be accountable and start with like a year of nothing, and then 1 year turned 2 years, then 2 years turned to 4 years.
No hooking up with girls during those
Zero.
times? You made one of those
Didn't
things
even
where I'm going
kiss
to be a
anybody.
virgin and all that kind of stuff? Like,
I was a born again virgin. So like the reality of that was very real for me in a sense that like I believed I had never even set eyes on something else to compare to whatever it is that I was going to commit to in covenant. So it was me passionately saying yes to what I wanted versus like being consumed in all the fear of what could hurt me and whatever. I just lost value for it. And
Right.
I understood its corruption and perverseness in its nature, to where I realized it's toxic for a human and it doesn't make sense.
boy, so you stayed clean, all that stuff. You made a commitment to God.
Life, we were together for a decade, 10 years. We were in ministry together. We were pastors, youth pastors,
Okay.
missionary trips. We took a lot of trips out of the country together and helping youth. That was really our heart and our passion.
So you were doing ministry. You were a
yeah.
married couple,
Yeah.
3 children,
Yeah.
doing ministry together.
Yeah.
What kind of places did you go to?
Oh gosh, we went to, Mexico, routinely. We went to Europe, London. We went to multiple trips to London and spoke in the schools and the churches and took teams on our own.
Were you
there.
singing at this time?
Oh yeah, I was singing, acting, writing plays, productions, building up kids doing the same
Did
thing.
you feel like you guys were going to be together forever?
Yeah, of course. We never said the word divorce, never spoke about that. We really thought we were going to be together forever. And I think it caught everyone as a real shock because we were kind of like the it couple.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
in ministry together. He was, he's a very handsome guy. And we've got these 3 beautiful, talented kids. And so I don't think anybody really saw it coming. We sure didn't. I think we were just young. Now I look back at the issues that we faced together, and I think that a lot of it is just what comes. Like they say, the 10-year itch or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we were young, and the stress of marriage and ministry and children and finances and all that pressure. And I just I don't think we had the support from our family or from other people to help us get through that. Like now I look at people and it's like, I wish I knew then what I know now. But I think we were just young and all that pressure and stress.
And my wife is for me not only a joy and a pleasure, but she's also a good backstop. Because I believe that when God sends you a woman, that he's not only going to send you an obedient woman in the biblical way, not in the chauvinistic or whatever people want to say this. It's the way that the Lord expresses. Right. But I think a woman will also find a way to know who you are, who you should be. And if she sees you doing something that is, against what you're doing or a polar opposite of what your and her goals are, especially when it deals with Christ, whether it's political or not, you really have to commend when a wife is strong enough to stand up and do that at the right time.
And I am a firm believer in lead by example. So
go.
I really haven't forced any of my beliefs on my family, but they've seen it. He wakes up every day. He exercises. He goes to work. He's got a savings. What's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
Something's going on. And the thing is that they saw how much of a degenerate, criminal, bad guy I was. So they are the ones that really, really can see this and has really molded this great relationship with us. My mother, my sister, And I know my sister from up above, she's watching next to my father and then just looking. And I call on my father because he is my father. You know, I didn't grow up with my dad. I had a stepfather, but the DNA test came back and Jesus is my father. God is my father. And that's who I believe, you know, and who is my brother, but the ones that believe.
Freak. I love it.
I am high on Jesus, like you said. I am. And this is not no fakes, no fronts. This is real stuff, but this is earned on a daily basis. Today, even before I came to this interview, I had to earn these words. To speak these words, I have to earn them. I have to walk the walk before I can talk the talk. I have to lead by example, and I know they're gonna measure me after this video, after this interview. They're gonna measure me with that ruler, and I hope they do so they can keep me in line, and I gotta keep myself in line. Accountability has two eyes, and they're right here, and I'm watching, and he's watching, and he's always watching. And relationships, man, I gotta watch out with my environment and my relationships because it can corrupt my character. And, you know, and it has in the last 3 years. I have fallen, and I've fallen short because I try to go back to the old watering holes, and I try to drink from the same water, the same Kool-Aid, and the Kool-Aid ain't right. It's got too much sugar, and I don't need that sugar. You know what I mean? And that's where the standard comes. And like I said, there is, and this is my belief, you guys could all believe what you want, but there is outsiders. I'm sorry to say it.
You know how it is. We all have only so much time and so many hours in the day and so much of ourselves to really give. And so I would encourage anyone to be very selective because we teach even our friends how to treat us. By the things we say, by the things we don't say, what we do, what we don't do. If someone's, you know, treating you a certain way, there's a good chance that I had something to do with it. Meaning I've allowed it. I've opened the door to that area that was only meant for, you know, your future spouse, or for someone who actually can offer you good input and good advice as a mentor or a sponsor or a pastor or an advisor. And instead we you know, you allowed someone in that space that they should have never been allowed there. And they unfortunately, you know, they weren't an anchor, they were dead weight. And there's a big difference, but sometimes in relationships, it's hard to tell who's an anchor and who's just dead weight. And to call it out too. And to call it out with love, but to call it out sooner than later before you just like, why are we both at the bottom? Oh, that's right, I let you in. Or I let you in this part of my life that, hey, I can love you, we can be cool, but there's nowhere that I've seen, heard, or read, including the Power Book, that, you know, you just, let people have their way with you because that's what Jesus would do. Like, no, I don't go for that. I never really have. But some people feel guilted into doing that for relationships.
When you get involved in a relationship, it's going to make life harder. It's like pouring Miracle Grow on your character defects. It's a mirror to you. After the honeymoon period, that person becomes a mirror to all your shortcomings and your character flaws, and it's painful. And so you can battle that other person, or you can utilize that information to try to grow and be a better person. And it's challenging. And, you know, change is the one constant in life. And most of us resist change. The only thing that never changes is God. And so trying to be flexible and go with the flow and learn. I've learned a lot from this woman. She makes me want to be a better man. Earlier points in my life, I wouldn't have been suitable to be her man because she is a higher caliber woman than how I had conducted myself. You know, she's
raised the bar for you.
Yeah,
definitely.
She has integrity. She treats herself with respect. I was a whore and a drug abuser and an adrenaline junkie. And I had a lot of fun, and I didn't want to hurt anybody, but I didn't realize that I probably wasn't adding to these people spiritually. And now that I've grown to a degree, and I'm still a baby, dude, there's still a lot of room for growth, that I want to add to people. So my whole view has changed. You know, back in the days, like with my grandparents who were married, they were friends and then got married and were only with each other. When I grew up, I thought, man, that sucks. You can't, you know, test the waters and all that. And then now, since I tested the waters for, 30 years or whatever, I really respect people who get with their high school sweetheart, like my daughter.
Yes.
And you don't need to be, it doesn't help you to add to you to be with a bunch of people. Pornography, I think, is something that's destructive. And I'm not coming from like a Christian perspective of morality per se, that when a man pairs pornography and sex and lust, by the time you start having loving feelings for a woman, love and sex have nothing to do with each other. And so the way that our culture was, at least when I was being raised, and probably a lot for you too, it was about being a stud and going out there and knocking knocking it down. And then the double standard of if women are too liberal with themselves and their sluts or whatever. So, I've really just, I don't watch pornography anymore, since I got with her. It wasn't like I was addicted, but I would still utilize it, but it didn't help me.
Boy,
it's damaging.
She has been a great influence on your peace of mind in life.
So I just kind of, for me, I had to grow, I think MJ said it too, I had to grow a relationship with my God. I had to grow a relationship with myself. I didn't know how to love me. I didn't know what it looked like to be loved in a healthy manner. And so I had to grow this. So it's a Native American tale, right? Where the man is standing with his braids and he's looking up, and it was in my chaplain's office when I was in the Army, but he's looking up at the sky and he's going, "Father, which wolf wins?" And the rays are coming down and he has a black wolf on one side and a white wolf on the other side of him. And he's going, "Father, which wolf wins?" And God looks at him and says, "Whichever one you feed, my son." Because they both live in me every day, right? So every day I have self-consciousness and I have God consciousness. And if I'm feeding self-consciousness, if I'm feeding those thoughts in my head and how do I fix me and how do I look and what does this do to benefit me, then that black wolf is going to grow. And AA teaches me I have a 24-hour reprieve based on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. So where is God in it and who am I helping? And if I'm feeding me, right, I'm growing this black wolf, then I'm not doing anything other than pride and ego. The pride comes before the fall,
there
right?
You go, yes.
And so I have to be aware in that whole 24 hours and consciously work towards feeding this white wolf, because I spend enough time over here in the darkness already. He's big and strong. And so I have to actually mentally have that discipline that we were talking about earlier. And I have to discipline myself to constantly be aware of what I'm doing and how it's feeding my white wolf.
One of the things that I love and why I've connected with you is because of the incredible thing that you're doing at the Magic House and your ministry, which is to help people that are suffering through drug addiction and, healing from traumas in their life. And so I would just say, you asked if there's anything else to say, is for anybody out there that's suffering, or, somebody that's going through pain or trauma or, addiction issues, this is the person that you want to connect with, because he can help. And I've seen you, open your home. I've seen people's lives changed and turned around and given a second chance and given hope. And that's you and your ministry are what I want to be a part of, and my children want to be a part of, and we want to support. So that's why whenever you're doing events and we really want to help and we want to be a part of this, because it's a beautiful thing that you can be a hope dealer.
There you
and
go.
That's what you are, is a hope dealer. And so thank you for choosing me and being a part of this. It's an honor.
Well, I would encourage myself and others, trust the process, have faith. Even seemingly bad things, later upon reflection, you realize it had to go that way, and God will bring good out of even bad situations. If you're in a loving relationship, be ready for some attacks from the deceiver and don't get caught up into it. Keep one hand in the sky, but also try to keep your feet firmly planted on the ground to deal with all the responsibilities and obligations that we have. But don't take it too serious, because it'll just crush us up. 3 T's, things take time. Frustration is the manifestation of unrealistic expectations. So let's look within and see, what is my unrealistic expectation that I can readjust, instead of wanting to point the finger at this person and that person. And basically, pretty much be cool, treat people with respect, don't trip, don't take it personal, don't trip, live life, and just enjoy, man.
I want to thank my wife, Gay Juarez. She, people talk about ride and die and all that other crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That woman was there for me every minute. I never had to worry about my books. I never had to worry. I tell her, quit coming to visit me. takes you 5 hours to get here. And she goes, shut up, old man. You know, I'm here. And she was, you know, and she's been with me every moment, you know, and it was harder on her than it was on me, you know. I mean, she, you know, she talks about, you know,
I saw, you know, some of those posts and stuff like that, feeling heartbroken.
You know, and it just, you know what, and what saved my life was all your prayers. That's what did it. The federal government ain't got nothing on your prayers. Man. Okay, I mean, they thought for sure that they were going to lock me up for the rest of my life and all my brothers. God had a different plan. He said, "Oh no. You know, these men learned something here. Maybe they'll go out and share it."
Maybe I prayed for it and didn't even realize it. Hey, God, let me spend more time with my kids, pandemic. Yeah. Hey, God, I need to be closer with friends in my life and we don't get to do this, pandemic. Hey, I need to get back to the heart and hands of Jesus, pandemic. You know, like it's just everything that you think of, it's brought me back to that place because what's happened since the top of the year and, you know, R.I.P. Kobe. The next thing you know, there's this. The next thing you know, there's people, you know, getting murdered and killed, you know, for no reason. And it's just striking people up, man, in a way where they're feeling it. And I want to be one person on, you know, this planet that, hey, if you're feeling it and you're going through it, then maybe me and we can offer you some help and an ear, some healing, some love, some time, some attention, because that's all we really want, just to belong.
I hear people say, I believe in myself. Oh, brother, I believed in myself too. But I had to change the boss, man. The boss sucked. Leadership sucked. You know, I didn't know nothing about it. That's why I study leadership too, because in my home, I am a leader too. So back to relationships, I have to really, really understand that my words are powerful and they can destroy too. So I watch that. I don't try to judge, brother. And my revolution, I go into revolution out of love. Don't get this twisted. I don't go into revolution out of hate for others and a system. I go out of love. I just see that it could be better. I just see your system in the world and I just say it could be better. Your churches could be better. Your preaching could be better. And you should feel that way too. You should feel that way about yourself. You can always be better than you were yesterday. And to be, I got it, I'm good, is to be that entitled Christian that doesn't feel like he has to give his life to Christ today.
That's right.
Pick up your cross.
To live is Christ, to die is gain.
I sit in awe of my God today. I'm truly amazed by the restoration that has happened in my life. Like, I gave away babies, I got back teenagers, you know, like there's so many things going on that if I sit down for too long and think about it, I feel like I'm gonna explode out of my body. Like it's just an amazing, beautiful journey. And like we were just saying, you know, like I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Doctor something.
There you go. Hey.
I don't know what that is, you know what I mean? But really, it's getting more in tune with what my purpose was, why I was created, knitted together in my mother's womb and made specifically for this purpose, and just trying to seek what that purpose is. And along the way, there's these great days where everything goes different than I expected and I get some life lessons out of it, but I'm going to hold those because there's somebody around me that's going to need it, and just kind of collecting those things, like you call them, the nuggets of wisdom.
Yes.
I'm wandering around collecting them for whoever needs them whenever I can.
We're not invited to the conferences. They want us there. They want our insight, and they want to take our ideas. They want to take our magic. They want us there. They just, like I said, hey, fix your face. Come this way. Get all cleaned up. They don't remember, the Bible says, come as you are, you know, and we like the way we dress. We like the way we look. We think we look cool, you know, and so that's the thing about what's cool about this is this is your opinion of what the dirty does, and this is you, and that's your choice to do because you made it, you chose it.
People say, how could you do it? I just did it.
Yeah.
And like I said, and I know you can't buy coolness, and I know the dirty does it are cool.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
God loves us all, and I think there's a certain amount of grace for everyone, even those that choose not to accept the full amount and full portion of what you have, you know, in stake for you, even as a beginner, or when you know the book through and through and you're able to start spiritually filling other people and going out and just, you know, my main goal right now is to try to memorize the Bible. And, you know, if you guys know my band and my past, there's a few brain cells that are gone. So I'm trying to, you know, memorize those the best I can and try to have them on hand. So when I'm doing something like this, that I can come with the full force and And with to me, like the words that are no longer law, as far as the 10 Commandments stands, but if you're a Christian, the Bible should be your doctrine or your law or your guide.
My tips are be crazy, write out your story, dream big, and have people in your life who have what you want. And the key to this is too, make sure who you choose to be in your life has the integrity though. Because people can speak a good game, right? And if you go to, okay, I want this person in my life without you watching before you choose them, it could hurt you. So really find people with integrity because those people live that life. And you know how it's not easy to live it day by day when no one's watching.
Yeah.
But those are the people that will give you not good advice, but beneficial advice.
I love it. I love it.
You have your structure, everybody does, but God has something he wants to do with it. And so I encourage anybody who's out there, just open yourself and ask, in your own time, ask God questions about your life. Tell him to show you signs. But really, if you listen, I promise you, it will blow your mind beyond anything you could ever control.
Well, I tell people that commercial where you have that chair sitting by that clear, it looks like Bahama ocean water and all that stuff, and they have like one drink there, standing there. It's supposed to make you want to go on vacation, be all by yourself. That isn't me at all. I'm going out strong, brother. I can see the finish line. I don't got that much longer left, but I'm going out swinging for home runs, and that means bringing people along with me on my way to heaven. I'm going to take as many people as I can in this limo. I'm not driving just a 2-seater car or even a 1-seater bike anymore. Man, I'm getting everybody I can to hop on board because this baby, we're going to heaven. And I can't tell you how soon it's going to happen. I don't know if it's during this pandemic,
But it's going to happen.
But it's going to happen, I guarantee you that.
Can't wait.
Fieldy, I love you, brother.
Love you.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making time to come over here, sit in the park, and chill. Love you.
Good times. Love you.
Woo!